Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to another smoke sesh. As you see in the title, today we're going to be talking about weed anxiety after tripping. Uh, by this I mean when you go smoke weed after you have a very strong trip. Maybe it's your first trip. In my case, it was my first trip that caused a lot of anxietal problems when I smoked. It might just be a strong trip that triggers it as well. And this is something that I have seen talked about somewhat, and I just want to lay my thoughts out on it, what I did personally to deal with it, because I don't really see many people suggesting my way or my method of handling it. But I'd say my way of doing it, worked really well for me, but we'll get into that and just why it happens. I got some thoughts on that and how it happens. But before we get into all of that, right here, I have a dab. Now, I have no idea if I've dabbed on a smoke sesh before. I know we've hit the carts before. I know we've had joints and all that, all pipes, all ways you can think of to combust weed. But have we dabbed? I don't know. Let me know if we have dabbed. Tell me what episode it was. But if not, hey, here's our first dab. We have a nice globber here of Jack Hare, a classic strain. But let's light up the nectar collector here, and we're going to inhale this bitch real quick. I'd say it's somewhat fitting to do a dab for this episode, considering, that are inedible, I guess, because you hear most freakouts happen on either of those two. And speaking of which, I had my buddy do a dab, his first dab fucking here not too long ago. Ended up puking just all over the fucking bathroom. Basically, he said he felt like he was tripping, but it was some potent ass shit. But as always, if you have anything, not necessarily a dab, if you have a dab up with me, but if not, a light up with me if you got your buds, whatever. It's always a vibe when we're smoking. And I'll be ready. We're just about ready. Want it nice and hot. Alright, I'm diving in, boys. About to be gassed up on a whole nother level. Alright. Now that we're properly gassed up, let's start rolling with this video topic. Alright, so if you're wondering what trips excuse me, what trip specifically I'm talking about, it's actually the first 1P LSD trip that I had, and you can find that on Storytime playlist on my channel if you're interested, or search my first time doing 1P LSD. It's after this trip that I got really bad I want to say anxiety, kind of like paranoia, but a lot of physical anxiety, specifically in my case. Now, I want to think this happened because, well, if you know the story, you know that me and my boy Evan, we had 2 Fat J's we sparked up at like the peak of our trip pretty much. And like afterwards, just go watch it, a lot of crazy shit happens on my end, to say the least. And it was pretty intense. And I don't even think I smoked like the day of like it happened. I believe I smoked like either the day after the trip with Evan or 2 days after. It was something like that. I kind of waited a little bit. I know the day after I felt refreshed as fuck, but whenever he hit me up to smoke again, it was late at night. It was our normal group with like Isabel and Grace, if you remember those names I mentioned before. Two girls we would hang out, smoke with all the time. Now, for whatever reason, when we started smoking, I just got like fucking high as fuck. But in a way, it reminded me that like I'm tripping again in a way, but to a certain degree. Not so much I'm tripping, like, but the feeling and just memory of it was more so present, since my mind had kind of been just opened up to it, a few days prior. Now, it wasn't bringing me back to the specific, euphoric moments I had during the music. It was mainly specifically during that rough period I had after we smoked the weed and I was, at the crib for the most part, which, made sense because, well, I smoked weed then, and I'm smoking weed now. This is now the feeling of weed, presumably, that I thought. And I remember we just drove out like it was any other night. We ended up parking up some weird ass place, like some place we've never been. It was really sketch, which, didn't help the situation because, my mind was already racing as it is. And just being out and about too, just, gives you the feeling like, man, are we going to get caught up in some bullshit? But I was just feeling, really like jumpy, like kind of shivering in a way, but more just shaky. I remember I was like having to fucking hold on to myself just because, like, just to get my nerves together and shit, if you know what I mean. But fucking Evan, man, I remember telling this this guy, like, bro, like, I can't smoke anymore. Like, I gotta chill out. Like, I feel like I'm tripping again. My mind's going crazy. I'm having all these closed eye visuals and shit. And this fucking guy, he's like, come on, you can't just stop smoking weed. Like, he was fucking convincing me weed ain't bad no matter what. At the end of the day, he was just saying, it's just bud. And I don't know, like, I think he gave me this mentality, though, that, hey, just don't be a bitch, right? And that's what I did, and I kept smoking that night. And this anxiety kind of lasted me, like, I'd say a week. But I was smoking probably every day to every other day. And I would normally smoke like just once a day at this point, so it was very apparent, like, these anxiety like effects. But really, what really drove me through it and just got rid of it for me and actually really helped prep me for a lot of drugs in the future as well is don't be a bitch. Get your shit together, handle your shit. I also think that part of it was, just building more of a tolerance, getting used to it more and on a physical and mental level. But other than the anxiety, the only thing that really stuck with me that changed like after tripping is that I still get pretty consistent closed eye visuals though. And that was only something I've ever noticed, after my first time tripping. But at the end of the day, I'm not really sure if this advice is going to work for everyone because I feel like my mind's a fucking tank. Not to say that I, ego building myself by any means. I've just been through, a lot of different situations and handled it fairly well than the ordinary person is all I'm saying. And the influences I've had around me definitely help shape me more so into that as well, I have to say. But other than that, if you guys ever experienced after tripping weed anxiety or paranoia, if you want to call it that, let me know. And because I know I've heard other people saying like just kind of take a break from smoking, and I just didn't fucking do that. Part of that was my friends and just just living it up. They wanted me to smoke, and I smoked. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is what I got out of it. but let me know your experience if you did have one. If you guys have any requests or ideas for a smoke session topic, let me know. I'm open to it, or any other video at that. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow the socials. It's been your boy, Someone That's No One, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.